Thank you very much for joining us for today's webinar, 7 Proven Strategies to Double Your Fixed Ops Profits. I'm Eliana, as I said before. I'm going to be your moderator today, and today's webinar is being presented by Dealeron. And for anyone who hasn't ever heard about Dealeron, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, and we're best known for our leadership in 3 areas: search engine optimization, best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning website optimization. In fact, Dealeron was named the top-rated website provider by Driving Sales for 2011, and Dealeron customers were winners of the Spring 2012 Digital Dealer Website Excellence Awards. And that was really interesting because those awards were given solely based on website conversion and optimization. Now, Dealeron is so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that they're the only company in the industry to offer a lead guarantee program. Oh yeah, you heard me. I said it. That's right. I said a lead guarantee program. If you want to know more about that and us, check us out at dealeron.com, because I'm pretty sure you never heard about lead guarantee program before. Now, we do have a great show in store for you today, and once we get Jeff up and online and showing us his screen, we are going to have Jeff Clark, who's the Executive Vice President of Business Development here at Dealeron. He has over 17 years of strong sales and revenue growth experience, and Jeff knows what it takes for a company to succeed. Previously, Jeff helped position Dealer.com in the online digital marketing arena as their National Director of Search Engine Marketing. And since then, he's been instrumental in Dealeron being named to Inc. magazine's 2011 list of 5,000 fastest growing private companies. And as the importance of the internet has grown over the past decade, Jeff has become an expert in the area of online digital marketing, including all aspects of managing an online digital presence. Jeff Clark is an active public speaker in high demand and can be found on numerous automotive networking sites. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature, which you've already done. I thank you, all of you, for writing into me. It's located on the corner of your screen, and submit them and it'll come directly to me. And at the end of the presentation, we're going to answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to respond by email to you later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is going to be emailed later today for your reference. Please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And if you feel like getting even more interactive with us, join us as we tweet out the webinar and ask questions through Facebook. Oh yeah, today's question through Facebook is, what does your dealership do to increase fixed ops profits? So do you promote coupons and discounts? Do you build out a service website? Do you ask for referrals? Do you use social media? Or do you have some other secret weapon up your sleeve that you can share with all of us? Please go to facebook.com/Dealeron and tell us what you got going on at your dealership. And I hope you'll get involved. Who knows, your participation may score you a shout out during the show. So I'm very excited for this webinar. And Jeff, it looks like we're ready to rock.
It looks like we are. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and again, my personal and professional apologies for the technical difficulties. Looked like GoToMeeting wanted to throw us a little bit of a curveball this morning, so I appreciate everyone's time and hanging in there, and thanks for spending the better part of your early afternoon with us, or morning, depending on what part of the country you're in. So, Eliana, you excited?
I am. I'm very, very excited. I'm so glad you're online right now.
I have no idea how I'm glad I'm online. So anyway, let's get started and make good use of everyone's time this morning.
Yes, yes. Okay, so 7 proven strategies to double your fixed ops profits. And I have to say, this is a very, very hefty claim. Double your profits? That's a lot.
It's absolutely a lot. But as you can see as we go through this presentation, a lot of these things our attendees basically know, but we as an industry have not done a good job, and I mean as an industry from the technical side, of really enabling dealers to utilize the tools that can allow them to level the playing field against the national franchise brands. And a lot of what I'm going to show you today are really ways that you can immediately start to make a difference and sort of open your mind to what is available and what can be done outside the traditional marketing mediums that can really help drive consumers and make them aware of the value of the service department of a dealership. So we've covered this part. Again, the Facebook portion, folks. So here's what we're going to learn today. The important industry information that everyone needs to know. What your potential customers are actually seeing online. As everyone knows, the vast majority of consumers, 9 out of 10, actually start research online prior to ever walking into a dealership. This is more applicable as it relates to sales, but very much so and is advancing even more so on the service side. So we're going to cover 7 proven online strategies that can actually double your fixed operations profit. And at the end, hopefully, with the 25-minute delay that we had, we still have time for a Q&A session. So let's get started.
Let's get started.
Amen. The fixed operations side of our industry accounts for $287 billion, of which dealers capture roughly a third of that. Here's what's most alarming to me, dealer profit versus website content. What is wrong with this picture? Now, according to NADA data, it states that parts and service accounts for 53% of a dealership's profit. I've seen that be true in a lot of cases. I've actually seen that be not true in that I see some dealerships that number is even higher. In some cases, close to 70% of their profit is being generated from fixed ops. However, as I mentioned at the top of the conversation, we as an industry, as website providers and technologists, have not done a good job of giving you the tools you need to succeed. Oftentimes, if you look at the average website, less than 3% of your website is dedicated to parts and service content. Less than 3%.
That's crazy.
So in the industry, it's mind-boggling. We are so focused on selling that oftentimes we fail to put the proper content in place to really educate consumers about the value of servicing their vehicle with a dealership. And gang, this is our competition. It's the Pep Boys, the Jiffy Lubes, the Midas, the Meinekes, the Sears, the Mr. Tires, and the local Shade Tree Mechanics. As you can see represented here in the middle of this image is dealers. This is us. The franchise car dealership world gets a very, very small portion. And you think, well, Jeff, that's not true because every time I turn around, my service bays are packed. If you look at the industry, if you look at those service dollars, we are actually the minority here. And we really need to sort of level that playing field. What I'm going to show you here, and it's going to be delayed, and I apologize in advance. I don't know how many of you may have seen this. This is a national branded campaign via Pep Boys. And I hope I always do well in this industry because I'm sure when this webinar goes public and the folks at Pep Boys see this, they won't be very happy with me. But
well, actually, you shared their commercial, so how could they not be happy with you?
Exactly. But I'm sharing it with people that will find the same displeasure with it that I found with it. So I'm going to launch this. I'm going to play it again over a webinar or GoToMeeting. It's going to be a little bit delayed. Some of you may have seen this. Some of you may have not. When we forward this over and the deck over, you'll be able to play this. So I really want you to see this, and this is really preying on consumer perception about the dealership world and about the warranty status of a vehicle. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, you may need to turn it up.
When the warranty runs out, just come in. Pep Boys does everything a car dealer does for less. Brakes, oil changes, and maintenance. Pep Boys ASC certified technicians will diagnose and repair your vehicle at the lowest price. Guaranteed. Pep Boys does everything for less.
Oh, Jeff.
Now, for those of you that have steam coming out of your ears right now, I had the same reaction when I saw this.
I heard it. I heard it. He said,
it just
does everything a dealership does for less.
It appeals to that consumer that has the misconception that dealerships are too expensive, too difficult, and oftentimes not, in consumers' terms, trustworthy enough to take their vehicles to. They feel when the warranty is expired that they need to go to the outside, and that's just not true. Pep Boys is an example of only one of the national brands that are launching these regional and national campaigns to convince consumers that when that car hits 36,000 in 1 mile or 50,000 in 1 mile or whatever your particular manufacturer protects your vehicles for, that it makes sense to abandon the dealership, and that's just not true. One of the important things I want to stress here is looking at click-through rates by search engine ranking position. The top 3 positions command 60% of every page in terms of consumers clicking through to get to you. 60% of those in the top 3 positions, right? If you're not 10 or above, according to Google, consumers have less than a 2% chance of finding you. And here's a prime example. We did a search for brake service Minneapolis, and you can do this true in your market. Don't count on the fact that consumers are going to use a make, model, or trim to identify the service they need. Things like brake repair, things like transmission service, things like oil changes or batteries. Oftentimes a consumer will not identify the brand, and it really leaves us sort of handicapped or handcuffed, if you will, to be able to show our dealership's services. You can look here on this search, Minneapolis, what I would consider to be a larger market. We didn't find a consumer the ability or link them with the ability to find a franchise dealer until we were at, and you can count them here, right, until we were at page 5. If less than 2% of consumers ever come off page 1, what are the real chances someone's going to keep digging to find you? They've got to want to find you or go direct URL to you, but the average consumer who doesn't know you, that may be new to the Minneapolis market, Miami, California, LA, Dallas, wherever it may be, just isn't going to see you. So I encourage you to do these searches and see where you sit. Here's other examples. Local service for brakes, no dealers above the fold. Same thing true with oil changes. Same thing true with car battery replacements, right? These are the basic services. If consumers can't find us for the basic services, what's the chances they're going to be able to find us for the more detailed services? Search engine ranking positions versus the national brands. Guys, it's no mystery to me that for the past decade, these national franchise brands have strong marketing departments and millions of dollars in ad budgets and very, very bright people running their strategic operations to make sure that they're dominating the search engines. Firestone controls 95% of every search engine ranking page that exists on the web today. 55% Jiffy Lube, 65% Pep Boys, Midas, and so on and so forth. As you can clearly see, the franchise car dealer here captures less than 5% of that business. Less than 5%. What are the chances that your dealership is going to show up for those basic services without a make, model, trim search to identify to that consumer that you provide these services? The national brands versus the average dealership website. When you look at a national brands give you multiple categories: tires, maintenance, repairs, and offers. You've got tire configurations. You've got a banner that's actually showing the consumer, hey, buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Something else that the national brands do is they offer real incentives. They'll give gift cards. They'll give financing options. As you can clearly see here, get up to $100 when you purchase 4 Bridgestone tires. Dealerships don't oftentimes brand that type of content, and it puts us at a disadvantage. So what can you do as a dealer? It's simple. You can build a standalone service site. And I'm sure some of you are sitting there saying, well, wait a minute, Jeff, I have a factory site. I have a secondary site. Now you're telling me that I need to build a standalone service site. Absolutely. And here's the reason. When you look at the average website today, again, less than 3% of that site is dedicated to fixed operations content. It is so diluted with new car sales, used car sales, F&I, specials, all the other stuff, that service oftentimes gets lost and there's very little content there. Some of you may have manufacturers that prohibit you having a secondary site. Some of you may be in a position to say, Jeff, I just don't have the budget. I just can't do that. You know, in a perfect world, we would absolutely build a standalone site. That would be the goal. However, there are things that you can do to enhance the current site that you have today. But if you notice this site here, you don't see anything about car sales. This is 100% service-centric. If you notice, we're branding the dealership, right? You've got a scheduler at the top, the 800 numbers, plainly seeing battery chargers for 12624, because a lot of people in Washington, D.C. don't drive their 911s during the summertime, or I'm sorry, during the wintertime here. They get garaged. And you also notice prominent at the bottom of the page, Eliana, what do you see right across the bottom of the page there?
Oh, I love them. They're coupons and specials.
coupons and specials, the one thing that consumers absolutely love. Do you know what Google says? Google says that the #1 search term with anything service related is the word coupon.
No, it isn't. Really?
Yes, it is.
No
the
way.
#1 when consumers do a service related search, if they add anything beyond just the search, it's the word coupon. Secondary to that is the word discount. Consumers love a discount. They love some sort of incentive. Ileana, I'd be interested to ask the audience, how many folks have an automated scheduler? I'd really love to poll the people that are online with us and that were patient enough to hang through the technical difficulties with us. How many people listening in today actually have an automated scheduler on their service department page?
Okay, let's do that. Audience, if you please would let us know what's happening at your dealership, we'd greatly appreciate the feedback. So on your screen, it says, does your dealership currently have an online service scheduler? Please select one of the following options, yes or no. And once we get a majority of the votes in, we will close the poll and move on. And we have a lot of people. Come on. It's a yes or no question. And you're going to tell me that having that online service scheduler is good for customer service, right?
It's just huge for customer service, and there's a lot of great companies out there that do this. You've got Time Highway, you've got Xtime, you've got a lot of other solutions that provide this technology. This is something that so makes the life of your consumer much easier. We are a community, we are an industry of immediacy. We want things yesterday. We're all impatient, we've all got our iPhones, we all want things done now. Nothing is more disturbing to a consumer, especially when we do focus groups, than to call a dealership and be put through a gatekeeper to only get to the service department to have to be put on hold to figure out whether or not they can accommodate you. And I know that's very rare today, and it continues to minimize as technology advances, but this is such a simple thing to do, and it's extremely important. We really want to take advantage of these schedulers because it's just going to continue to drive our level of service commitment, and the happiness of our consumers.
Well, we have a very forward-thinking crowd with us today because 74% of our attendees do have an online service scheduler, and the remaining 26%, well, not quite yet.
Okay. Well, the 26% that were honest enough to say that, take this as a call to action. Look into it. If you don't have it in your budget, find it, because it will certainly pay dividends to you. One of the other components that's very, very important, and again, I go back to sales, is video for maintenance. So many dealers have advanced where they are today to really look at wanting to provide video content for their new or used vehicles, especially used vehicles. Video is so important. I would believe that most of our audience knows, but I'd be really interested to share this with you. And I don't know how many of you know this, but Google happens to own YouTube. They acquired YouTube for several reasons, but one of which being YouTube was the second most visited search engine in the world. People love video. They love video of themselves, their friends, funny things, cute cats, stupid things, you name it, they love it and they want to share it. One of the most important things that we can do in the franchise dealership world is to create videos that explain maintenance topics. A lot of people don't understand what it means when their brakes start to pulsate. They kind of know what it means when they start to hear them grind. Some people don't even know what it means to actually periodically take a look at their tire tread. How do you tell if your tires are wearing? What type of periodic maintenance should you look at? What does it mean? You know, what kinds of things can you do to continue to care for your vehicle, right? This video content can be huge. A lot of great suppliers of this content, one of which we really happen to like is a company called UnityWorks Media. They do a great job. They've got a series of videos. Some are very brand specific. So if it's important to you to really show this maintenance content specific to your brand, they provide this video content. It's a key thing to have on your website. One of the other things I really encourage people to do is we're very big to get customer testimonials about the buying process. We're not always as keen to do it on the service side. And again, I would argue service is such a key component. If a customer is happy with their service and they're happy with their service advisor, the probability of them buying from that dealership and being a repeat buyer are significantly higher. So I strongly encourage the use of video and video content. Increase your service phone ups. Most of you do this, as I'm sure. We continue to see an increase in this. Make sure you provide 800 numbers for the service department. It never ceases to amaze me again that customers will take the first phone number on a website and call it, and they're looking for sales instead of connecting with service. But still, as an industry, we need to provide these 800 numbers, right? So large, obvious, in-your-face, dynamically trackable, those 800 numbers need to be prevalent on the site. Live chat. Personally, I'm not a chat person. However, amazing the results that you see. I myself have engaged with it. Again, it's not my preference. I like a live voice. However, it's amazing the number of people that engage chat. A lot of you probably see it on the sales side. The same thing is very true on the service-related side. Eliana, would you use live chat if it was on the service side?
You know, I'm so glad you asked me, because actually I did recently just use live chat. It was like a week and a half ago, and I was looking on this website and I was going to buy something, but I had a question about it. I used live chat, got my question answered, made my purchase. It was really the, and so I'm a big, and it wasn't the first time I used live chat, but I know it works because it works on me.
And you felt comfortable with it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Excellent. So you all heard me talk earlier about video increases search engine footprint and builds consumer trust. For those of you that follow video and those of you that don't, continue to educate yourself on video. There's some wonderful ways that you can do what's known as VSEO, which stands for Video Search Engine Optimization. You can optimize videos. Google loves video. They love human-generated content. So again, take the time. If you have an ad agency that specializes in video, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, go out, get yourself a flip cam. There's basic free software online that you can use to edit your video content, work with your website provider, work with technology providers, and get this stuff on your website. Again, consumers are lazy by nature. We as humans are lazy by nature. We don't like to read. If we can click on a button and watch a video, we would much prefer to do that versus having to read a page or a page and a half of content. So video is really key. You heard me talk about this earlier. Consumers love specials. They love offers. They love coupons. You want to make sure that you have customizable specials, right? Have many of them. Change them often. And make sure, please make sure they're up to date. Nothing makes me crazier than to go to a website and see expired specials, right? If they're expired, take them down. If you're working with a website provider or you have someone internal that does it, when they're done, pull them off or leave them up there as a standard everyday coupon, right? Do one of the other. You can integrate Google Analytics, right? You can actually install opcodes. You can track the printability of these coupons. Consumers love them. My wife, God love her, she's not on this call, so I can say this. She's crazy about that Bed Bath & Beyond coupon. That thing comes in 20% off, an extra $5. Eliana, I have more potpourri, hand towels, and candles than I know what to do with.
I should, maybe if I tell you this little secret, maybe it won't be so bad, but those coupons, even though they have an expiration date, they never expire. You can take ones that are expired and they still honor them. So maybe that'll help you out.
I'm sure most retailers have a hard time telling a woman no. They would certainly shut me down if I walked in with that.
No, but I totally agree. In this day and age, with the way the economy is, everyone's looking for a good deal. Of course they're going to go look for a coupon or a discount or a special. Of course they are. That's what they want. They want to feel like they're getting a good deal.
Everybody wants something, right? And the reality is when they walk in with it, they feel like they're ahead of the game, right? They're less prone to go out and price shop you when they have a discount and you're in the ballpark. So please, by all means, these things can be easily created. They can also be used with your direct mail company. I know there's a lot of service departments that are very big on direct mail. You can use these same coupons and images to be able to provide them to your direct mail company. Set up JPEG files, set up images, work with your provider, put these things in place. Again, remember, Google states that the #1 search term with anything service related that's outside the service search is the word coupon. Make sure that you have these on your website. Eliana, I was recently fortunate enough to speak to a audience of consumers. I did a thing for my son's school. A lot of the parents came, and of course, you know, what does your daddy do for a living? So I had an opportunity to explain to people what I do. Of course, a lot of them were confused, but they're like, so you sell cars? No, I don't. I help dealers sell cars. However, the resounding thing that I got back was, well, dealership service is too expensive. And I said, do you know that to be a fact? Well, no, but that's what I always heard. Do not be afraid. Mr. or Mrs. Car Dealership Principal, Service Manager, Service Writer, do not be afraid to say, go ahead, dare to compare me, right? Jersey City Ford here. Look at their oil change price, but look at Pep Boys, right? Then look at R&S Strauss. Then go on down the line. Now, me being a consumer and also being an industry person, I will never take my car to one of those quick lube independent shops, ever, right? The reason I won't do it is because the technician underneath my vehicle is not a factory-trained ASE certified tech. They are not. They are not a Class A mechanic. And I'm not letting you underneath my car that I have as my personal transportation that carries myself and my family. It's just not going to happen. Even if it costs me a few dollars more, that's the peace of mind that I require. What I find interesting is so many people are reluctant to share the price of their services. Even if your service price is higher than the independent repair shop, here's your prime opportunity to justify your cost. Number one, we use factory recommended materials. We only use OE parts. We only have factory trained certified mechanics working on your vehicle. And oh yeah, by the way, we provide you a loaner. We provide you a free car wash. We provide you these services. Whatever your unique value proposition as a dealer, you need to be able to state that and feel good about it and not apologize, right? This is not a game of the race to the bottom to see how low we can do it. If your dealership specializes in low-price oil changes and upsells other products, that's fantastic. Let's highlight that online. Let's tell people the story, right? But let's make sure they understand the value of working with our dealership, that we have courtesy transportation, that we have free Wi-Fi, that we have Starbucks coffee and scones, and whatever is unique about your dealership. We have a playroom for your children. These are all things that are critically important.
You know who's great at doing those dare to compares is Progressive Insurance. I mean, they have been doing it for years now. You know, see our prices and the prices of all of our competitors, and they've grown to be the #1 insurance company out there, right? So, I mean, I got news for you. I know I've paid about $20 for a car wash. If I could get it for free just because I brought it to you guys and saved, you know, maybe I spent $5 more, but I really saved $15. So I think it's a no-brainer to do the dare to compare.
Absolutely it is. And again, it's okay to say we are more expensive, right? It is okay. It's no different than the customer that shows up that wants to pay the base model price but wants to drive out with an LX loaded with full leather navigation and sunroof. You get what you pay for. One of the other things I think is important, and this is one example, and we have several. This particular slide deck, I didn't install the screen, but I'll be happy to share it with others later. Dedicated staff pages increase credibility. We actually recently built one of these that gives little mini bios about the actual service writer themselves, where they grew up, how many children they have, their favorite sports team, their favorite car. Guys, you have to remember, right? You are human. You are people. We want the consumer being able to connect with you. The service writer that does the work on my car, him and I have actually become friends. I trust him. I look to him for advice. 17 plus years in the business. I go through cars like nobody's business, right? However, when I find a great car and I find a great service advisor, that means something to me. We want to be able to put out there who's our service manager, our parts manager, who are the people that are important to you. I'm really bad sometimes with names. I remember faces, right? However, when you give that information, you give an email address, a phone number, an extension, a little tidbit about something. It gives you a connection point with the consumer. They're more quick to put down their guard, right? People tend to buy from people they like. It's true in the sales world. It's no different in the service world, right?
Absolutely.
Blogging. I don't know how many of you have blogs. Blogs are so critical today to the success of being able to see a dealership succeed in the organic rankings. For those of you that have ever gone to Google and done a search for your particular vehicle or your dealership or your brand in your market, look at the number of search results that are rendered back. Oftentimes, I see hundreds of thousands, even upon millions of pages. How does Google differentiate you over someone else? Google doesn't know you, right? They don't hang out with you. You don't play golf together. So how do they figure out whether or not you're the better result for the consumer? Well, there's a lot of different measurables, but one of the key measurables they look at is what's known as human-generated content. I encourage everyone to look at a WordPress blog and make sure that you're telling your story. This particular dealer says, why should I choose to service with your dealership? I remember 3 years ago when my son was born, I was petrified, right? Because it had been so long since I had installed a child safety seat that things had changed. It would have been really nice to know that I could have went to that blog and looked at how to properly install a child safety seat or a restraint harness for my son, how to get the proper tire wear, how to teach my soon-to-be 13-year-old in a couple of years safe driving practices and habits. Those things come from the parent, but it's oftentimes great to say, hey, I really want you to read this. The importance of not texting and driving. And it doesn't have to always be auto-related. As you get into the holidays, you can post holiday recipes. You can post a lot of different things. And some people are on the phone probably saying, you know, Jeff, I don't read blogs. I don't care about blogs. Well, you know what? Neither do I. It's not something that I go out and I search for. However, Google cares. However, consumers care. And for those that are active bloggers, right, I write blog content. I contribute to blogs. However, I am not a blog enthusiast. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be providing this content, properly tagging it and putting out there so it can be picked up by other third-party sources. Every time that content is picked up and pushed out and syndicated or someone links to you, you move up in terms of credibility in Google's eyes. The more links that are linking to you, the age of your domain, the quality of your content, video, all of these things contribute to your search engine position. This could not be more important as it relates to service. Again, remember, less than 3% oftentimes is the content that you have on your website. So if you can put service-related content, if you can add 60 to 80 to 90 additional pages or add a separate website that talks about all these important categories, you are sure to continue to start to grow your presence and take back what Firestone, Midas, Jiffy Lube, and others have been controlling for so long. Here's the important part. Jeff, it's all about service. It's great. And I hope we have some sales folks on the line because guess what, guys? This is the only way that you're ever going to sell a car and actually get paid to do it. The service department needs to be able to allow consumers the ability to see the inventory. If you notice, we don't make it primary, but we keep it on the front page to give the consumer the opportunity to go look at that inventory. Let's say I've got a 2002 F-150 that's pushing 200,000 miles. I love it because it's paid for. It's already got a couple dents and dings. My kid spilled chocolate syrup in the back seat. I'm okay with it. But I'm realizing you're laughing because you know what I'm talking about, right?
I totally know what you're talking about.
Gone are the days of cloth seats. Daddy has to buy leather now. When you look at it, you have to give them the ability to see your inventory, but you can't let it get in the way of the service, right? We are a service-oriented business, and so much of our sales opportunities need to be able to get from the service lane to the floor. I'm a creature of study, and I love to watch the behavior when I'm inside of dealerships. I have the pleasure as I travel the country and I do 20 groups and the digital dealers and the NADAs. I love to go visit dealerships in other markets. It's fun for me to go meet people and shake hands of folks that I've done business with I haven't yet had the opportunity to meet. And when I come in, one of the things that I do after I've visited the showroom and visited the GM and the departments is I love to go back into the service department. And I love to watch people for just a moment and see what they're doing. Are they watching the closed-loop television with Sally Jesse Raphael? Are they reading yesterday's paper? Are they on their iPad or on their laptop? more oftentimes what I find is those people get up out of their chairs with their cup of coffee and they start to roam the showroom floor. They start to get out on the lot and they go look at that, that Roush Mustang or that SVT or that Corvette ZR1 or that gorgeous BMW M6 because they want to see it. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to make sure that the consumer knows what we have available. So it's perfectly okay to have this, and anyone that tells you otherwise is just not right because they're solely focused on the service piece. This conversation is about service, but remember, we service vehicles with the pleasure of hoping to sell more. Mobile.
Oh, mobile is huge, Jeff.
Mobile, I can't even begin to tell you how crazy mobile is. Mobile is the fastest growing medium by far ever. Mobile is growing at a 5x multiple. It is projected by the end of 2013, mobile will command 65% of all searches. 65% by the end of 2013. So 18 months from now, we're going to go threefold over what we are today. But 20% of all service traffic comes from a mobile device. You really have to ask yourself the question, what is my mobile strategy? Do I have an integrated mobile application? With the advent of mobile apps and with the increase of mobile apps, I have to tell you, I'm crazy about my iPhone. But what's even more interesting is looking at the X and Y generation. I have a 2-year and 9-month-old son that operates his iPhone better than Daddy does. Right?
Same here. My 4-year-old knows how to use the Droid Razor, and he makes it do things. I still don't know how he does it.
He can get to videos. He can get to pictures. He can take a picture. He knows where his games are stored. He knows how to play his games. He knows when to say, "Uh-oh, Daddy brokey," right? He gets it. And what I mean by that is, gang, the X and Y generation are just advancing at such incredible rates over what we did. When you look at technology and the availability of technology and their knowledge and understanding, we have to get there, and we have to get there quickly. Those X and Y generations are going through college. They're buying cars. Their little brothers and little sisters are going to be driving soon. So it's not just a social media world anymore. It's a mobile world. So the Facebook, the Twitter, the MySpaces, the Yelps, all the apps, all the programs, guys, don't be caught off guard here. You have to get with it. If you're not, start to set off the alarm, start to have the conversation and say, you know what, we need to really talk about this. How many of you, and I'd love to poll this because I just have to ask, Eliana, how many of you actually use your smartphone when you're boarding an airplane?
Oh, I'd have to set that up to launch that poll question, but...
Yeah. So at some point, we don't have to do it now, but I'd love to see by the end how many of you use your smartphone for things like that.
Well, I will say this. Mobile strategies are really, really big, really important to today's dealers, and DealerOn knows this. So we've actually set up a webinar. It's not posted yet, but if you want to put it down on your calendar, July 12th, we are going to be doing a webinar solely dedicated to mobile strategies, and I got one heck of a speaker for you, too. I won't give it away, but he's from this little company. You might have heard of it. It's called Google. Oh, yeah. I got you somebody from Google to talk to you about mobile strategies. So we're going to do this right, and that'll be on July 12th. So hopefully we'll see you all there, too.
You know, Eliana, it was such a pleasure. Myself and the rest of the executive team and a number of our strategic partners just recently spent a few days out of Google's headquarters in Mountain View, and I was just blown away with where mobile's going. You know, even being a technologist and being on this side of the industry and priding myself of being very technically proficient, I had no idea just the advancements that are being made with mobile. So I don't want to harp on this. I just want to really embed on our listeners that mobile is such a critical piece of your 2012 and 2013 and beyond strategy of how your consumers are going to engage you. Do paid search campaigns for fixed ops. So many times I go into dealerships and I see paid search being done strictly by the internet sales department. And I hear, I don't want any service-related terms. And it disturbs me because we all work for the same dealership, right? We all report to the same owner. But sales operates on one side, service operates on another. So I encourage the service departments, if you don't have a cooperative relationship with the internet department and sharing budgets and how this works, don't be afraid to branch off and do your own. However, you need to be mindful of certain things. On vehicle sales, we want to go after year, make, model, manufacturer, dealer. In the service world, we want to go after the type of service, and we want to really, again, focus, you heard me say this earlier, on deal or coupon or offer. Key things. Remember, the geography of what you go after is also very, very different. In the sales world, you can pull people depending upon your market and your location, your demographics, and certainly the density of the population you have competing dealers. You can pull people 50 miles, sometimes more. I've seen in the remote, Pacific Northwest, they pull people from 2 hours away. In terms of service, you really need to keep that radius tight. You've got 10, maybe 15 miles that a consumer is going to go to be able to see you for service. And look at conquest keywords. Do not be afraid to go after Jiffy Lube and Midas and NTB and Meineke. They go after you. There's no reason you can't go after them. Sometimes the manufacturers frown when you do it on the sales side, and I can understand that. However, on the service side, until they tell us otherwise, to me it's open game. In terms of tracking and trackability, track your coupon prints, your redemptions, and your appointment calls. It was interesting, one of our largest partners on the service side, we have been closely monitoring their coupon prints. The #1 most printed coupon was geared towards women, and it was 15% off any service. It was a 3-to-1 print over the next closest.
Really?
Really.
Oh, us women know a good coupon when we see it.
I got drawers full of coupons.
Well, we like to use coupons. Like I said, it makes us feel like we're getting a good deal.
But, again, the point being, appeal to your audience. Look at who's bringing that vehicle in for service. A 15% off dedicated to a female, you say, well, Jeff, that might be a little bit of, a little sexist. Call it what you want. If I've got a 3-to-1 redemption ratio, guess what? I'm going to keep going with it. One of the other things you want to be mindful of is the hours of operation. I don't believe, and statistics have shown, that your targeted keywords really need to be geared around the hours of your service operations. Now, I can tell you there are some dealerships here on the East Coast and in other markets that are open 24/7. Most dealerships are not. I've seen them as open as early as 6 and 7 a.m. and they're till as late as 9. Really try to look at doing it during your hours of operation just to keep your cost under control. On the sales side, you want to do it anytime, right? Because we can respond to a lead, send an autoresponder. As long as the cost is reasonable and low, we can continue to do it. Eliana, what does this search say?
Service my 2008 Honda Odyssey.
Do you think there's any question as to the intent of that search?
No, but I don't want to buy a new 2008 Honda Odyssey.
There's nothing vague or at all ambiguous about that?
No.
Want to know what?
What?
Here you go. So I asked you to service it, and this is what you gave me back. You're trying to sell me a Honda Odyssey. I didn't ask you to sell me a Honda Odyssey. I asked you to service mine. This is a simple oversight, but you have to look at the level of accountability internal to the dealership and how you're spending your money and wonder what was the waste here. Now, you might capture 1 out of 1,000 people that will see this and say, I got an 08, it's 012, Hondas are of high quality. Do I really need a new one? I've still probably got a year, maybe 2 years left on my payments. Very rarely will you ever get a consumer to bite on this. It doesn't make sense. Make sure you talk to your providers. Make sure you pull in the PPC experts. Have this discussion. Look at your budget. Ask the questions, right? it's very, very important that you deliver the content that consumers are asking. You will oftentimes hear people refer to the term deep link. We want to deep link consumers to the content that they're asking for. So if I went out and I did a search 2012 Honda Odyssey, this is ideally where I would like to be driven. But when I do a search that says service my 2008 and you drive me here, you've now lost me. But they've done some other things well, right? They've got the 800 number. You've got a tab above that can get you to service, so I guess the consumer that cares to do it can end up finding their way there, but it's not, as I think you can see, an ideal way to do things. You also want to create optimized landing pages just for your service department. Again, it's time that we start to take some control of the web opportunities that exist today. Let's get out of that 3 or 4 or 5% section. Let's get pages that are strictly service related. Again, give the customer the path to get to cars if they want to, but that's not why we started the conversation. We started it wrapped around service. Number 3, make mobile apps work for you. This is a wonderful program. This is a program through a company called Clear Mechanic. This is a very, very easy, simple to use program. You basically take your smartphone, you take a picture of the defective part, you can plug in an RO number, you can wirelessly, that's easy for me to say, transfer the image. That will post the image to a webmail, website, or text the consumer, and then the consumer can see the image and share. I found it interesting recently. I was in a service department visiting a friend of mine who happens to run a dealership here in the local DC market. We were going out for lunch, and I watched a service advisor walk out and break the bad news to a consumer that they had a rather expensive repair. And although I wasn't close enough to see the response, I could certainly tell by the facial expression that there was a deer in a headlight look, which said to me that this is one of those unpleasant conversations that said, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer, you have a $3,000 repair bill.
Oof.
Oftentimes the jaw drops and you get the reaction, oh my God, you know, that's an awful lot of money. Why so much? What can I do without? What do I need? I need to talk to somebody, right? You will find that when you provide people images, photos, illustrations, explanations, and video that show them the defective part, that explain to them the potential dangers of not making that repair, and then also show them the illustration of the things that have to be done to make that repair correct, you will find that it's easier to get buy-in from the consumer. It's one thing to tell somebody, it's a completely different thing to show someone. We want to use people or visual. They like visual things. We work hard and we spend a lot of money making our dealerships beautiful, shiny marble floors, beautiful entryways, nice waiting rooms, but we oftentimes fail to show people the image. It's not safe to take people out to the service area to show them a vehicle. Your insurance company will have a heart attack. OSHA doesn't like it. It's not practical, right? Ripping off the part to pull it in to show someone the defective part isn't practical either. So take a look at Clear Mechanic. Great company, great product. They have other solutions. These are other things that you can do to enhance the communication and trust factor with your consumers.
That looked really, really neat. If I was a consumer, I would love that. If I, you know,
yeah,
I mean, how much does something like that cost? Do you happen to know off the top of your head?
100% free.
What? That was free?
$0. That program cost absolutely nothing. Now, of course, they have other enhancements. You know, the free is sort of the hook to get you working with them, right? However, when you look at the value, what's the old saying? A picture's worth 1,000 words?
Yeah.
In this case, I would say a picture's worth thousands of words. It's really the ability to illustrate to a consumer the problem, right? Service optimized calls to action. Again, you saw me talk about this earlier. 800 numbers, chat online, automated schedulers. I was really excited to hear that more than 3/4 of our audience has automated schedulers. Congratulations to you for being forward-thinking. Maintain customers to the first tire purchase. This one really gets me. This is a study that was commissioned by a manufacturer, and for privacy purposes, I need to keep the manufacturer quiet. However, most car warranties today are 3 years, 36,000 miles. the average passenger car or light truck in America needs tires, depending upon driving habits, patterns, roads, somewhere between 30 and 40,000 miles. The number one point of service defection in America today, according to this OEM, is at the point of needing tires. Their study, their numbers show that service visits for no tires, 3.9 on average. However, for a consumer that purchased tires, 9.1. If you look at the number of services purchased and you look at the profit margin, it's vastly higher. And this is done across literally hundreds of thousands of consumers. This study was issued. I had the pleasure of visiting a dealership out on the West Coast. This gentleman I've known for a number of years. He used to be an operator of a dealership up in New York. Went in, had a chance to visit him, went through the dealership. Absolutely beautiful dealership located in Orange County, California. And one of the things that we got to talking about was the importance and obviously my passion of the service department and what they're doing. And for those of you that are either in California or know the California market, Californians love their cars, man. I mean, they love their cars, from the custom wheels to the chrome to the exhaust to, you know, if I was ever to own a business in California outside of a winery, I would want to own a car wash and an accessory shop because they so love their cars. Of course, don't mix the wine in the cars, but when you look at the commitment that people put in here, right, it's mind-boggling. Now, not every market's indicative of that, but one of the things I found interesting while I was visiting him was I said, so you do all these things, how come it's not on your website? And he had no answer for me. Yet, when I went out to his service department, he had the inflatable Michelin Man, he had a Pirelli sign, a Michelin sign, he had all this wonderful point-of-sale stuff, but if you weren't in his service lane, you didn't know it. There was no tire configurator online, there was no specials, there was no coupons, there was no mention anywhere on any page, anywhere within the 100-plus pages of that website that they actually sold tires, and moreover, that they also sold aftermarket rims for the vehicles. If you sell it, tell it. Makes sense. Sorry about that. Got a little quick. Tire catalogs. For those of you that do sell tires, your tire distributorships have widgets or tools that you can plug into your website. The consumer can come in, they can drop the year, make, model, trim level of the vehicle, and they can get an assortment of tires that you pre-price. I love this. This is fantastic. You can show prices from, prices installed, total installed, whatever your value proposition is. I've seen dealerships that do tires for life. Whatever's really unique and important about you, if you're going to sell tires, sell tires. If you're only going to sell tires when needed, don't really go through the trouble. However, there's a lot of money to be made in the tire market. I was astounded recently to learn how much profitability really comes from selling tires. But if you're going to do it, give your consumers the tools. Now, granted, you may say, Jeff, you know, we sell high-performance cars. The tires are very expensive, whether they're Z-rated or gator back or whether they're run flats or whatever they may be. Look, you have to know your audience. You have to know your brand. But be willing to put things out there, tires priced from buy 3, get 1 free, $50 rebate, $100 gift card, $20 off any additional accessory. But put this information out there and make it available for your consumers, and you'll find that when it's there, your phone will ring, you'll get leads, and you'll have the opportunity to sell these products. Point number 6, create an email collection process. Eliana, what do you think the average consumer has in the number of emails that they have? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? What do you think it is?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. I have no idea. 3.
If I was giving away a prize, you would have just won one.
Ah, man. No
The
prize.
average consumer has 3 email addresses. They have a home email address that's dedicated for family. They have a work email address, and then they have a private email address. And that's the one that you don't openly share with people. However, they have 3 different points of contact. More and more and more today, companies are monitoring inbound and outbound emails for security purposes, information being leaked, Most consumers don't want to be emailed to their work address. So encourage your service writers, just like we encourage our salespeople, ask for alternate email addresses, right? Again, a study that was commissioned, we found that customers with an email address in your DMS are 20% more likely to use you, equating to $700 in additional revenue over 5 years. So imagine if you got 2 email addresses or 3 email addresses. It's no different than phone numbers. Most of us have anywhere from 3 to 4 phone numbers. We have a cell phone, we have a home phone, we have a work phone. So there are multiple points of contact for people, and based on the trust level that you have with that consumer as to which information or which digits or which email address you get, you want to create a tracking mechanism. I've seen dealerships that actually give $50 to $100 spiffs to their service writers for collecting the most email addresses or updating those email addresses. People change jobs. People change phones. People move. They get divorced. They get married. Things change. The landscape doesn't stay the same. So we want to make sure that we're constantly updating these email addresses. Don't wait till you get a bounced email to realize, oh my God, I don't have the right email. Last but not least, point number 7, begin monetizing accessories. Now, I can tell you this is a loaded subject. So many dealerships have tried this and struggled with it. I am a staunch advocate of accessories. I cannot tell you how passionate I am about this. However, it cannot ever come before the sale. Do not show people accessories before the car has been purchased. You can show someone an accessorized vehicle, right? But don't let them really start digging into all the accessory options until that buyer's order is signed and until we're through F&I. Don't let it get in the way. However, here's the mind-boggling part. The average truck buyer, SUV buyer, light truck, work truck, sold in America within 6 months of purchase spends an average of $2,300 in aftermarket parts and accessories within 180 days of purchase of that vehicle. $2,300. Dealerships capture very little of that. And you may say to yourself, well, Jeff, that seems like an awful high number. Okay, well, let's think about this for a second. They buy a bed liner, they buy a truck box, they buy a roof rack, they buy brush guards, they buy tubular step rails and products, they buy a bed extender, they buy custom wheels and tires, they buy an exhaust system. You see where I'm going here? These things are critical. The Honda Civic is the most accessorized vehicle sold in America today. So you've got your truck buyers, your off-roaders, your 4x4s, your Corvettes, your Mustang crew. And you know what? You've got your moms, soccer moms, dads, parents that are buying utility vehicles that like to vacation. So they want bike racks, they want roof racks, license plate frame holders, cargo organizers. Dealers implementing an accessories process report on average of an additional $475 per vehicle sold. It's a $30 billion a year marketplace. Start to look at ways that you can integrate these components into what you do. I'd tell you a couple personal stories about myself about accessorizing vehicles, but we don't have that much time. But I love to accessorize, and I think most people who are real car lovers enjoy that. Start looking at ways that you can do it that make it a complement between the front-end sales department, the parts department, and the service department. I know it seems daunting. Some of you may do it and may do it with great success, and if you do, congratulations. Most people find it as a struggle. The sales department isn't incentivized to sell it, so they don't. The parts department upcharges the service department. The service department finds it difficult to know when the parts are coming in, so there's a break in that chain of communication. Everyone's entitled to a profit center, from the salesperson to the parts department to the service department, and the consumer deserves to be happy. Start looking at companies and processes and products and look at other dealerships that do this and figure out if it's the right thing for your dealership. That's all I got. Eliana?
That was chock full of some great information. Thank you so much, Jeff. Well, I will say this. I know we definitely ran over because of our our difficulties in the very, very beginning of the webinar, so I don't want to take up too much time with questions. Any questions that aren't answered, don't worry, Jeff's going to email you back today with an answer directly, but let's just do a couple of questions. So, first question to you, Jeff, is from Thomas. He says, how do I convince my owner, this is a good question, how do I convince my owner to spend money on a separate service-related site when our dealership already has a factory site as well as a secondary site? What information, what advice can you give to our friend Thomas, Jeff?
Thomas, could you come up with a harder question for me right out of the gate?
Thomas, you did just fine. You don't listen to him.
You know, Thomas, great question. It's not an easy conversation to have. Dealerships are continuing to look at their budgets, and they're continuing to look at where they're dedicating their dollars. And, you know, what I would say to you is this: how committed is the dealership to growing that piece of the business, and how critical is that piece of the business to your dealership? If you're a dealership that really does do an exceptional job in all other areas, it might be an argument that you're going to find difficult to win. However, I will tell you that, to me, I think it's a no-brainer, and this is why. Again, more than half of your revenue, according to NADA and all the statistics we look at, come from the service department. There's a tremendous amount of sales that exist within that department. And when you look at the revenue opportunity, and when you look at the ad spends of the dealership, I see dealerships even today, and please don't take this the wrong way, I am still very much a believer in the power of traditional media. I'm one of the few digital guys and industry experts that will say to you that traditional media is actually a good thing. But it's got to be synergistic with your digital media. The messaging needs to be consistent, and you need to find the right places to spend your money in that traditional, because it's the mass amount of eyeballs. When you can go out and you can find a way to invest $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 of the dealership's ad budget, and you can show a 30, 40, 50% lift in the number of ROs, the average RO price point, the upsell in services, it's a very, very easy argument to have. When you look at your service absorption and you look at the availability and the bandwidth of your service department, you can see that by opening up the web and by giving these opportunities for consumers to connect with you through these other channels, that ROI is significant. So number one, the first thing, I don't think it's so much the money that's the argument. I think what you're going to find your owner's going to say to you is, who's going to manage it? Who's going to be responsible for it? My service manager is incredibly busy and doesn't have the time. My parts department doesn't have the time. My GM doesn't have the time. So I don't think it's a matter of having the conversation about convincing the money, because the money's minimal. I think it's a matter of figuring out who's going to be responsible for it.
Well,
Thomas, I hope that answers your question.
I was just about to say that, Jeff. You stole my line, Thomas. I hope that answers your question. Okay, Jeff, real fast, because, you know, we kept these nice people on our webinar quite long, but real quick question from Vince. He says, when it comes to videos that you talked about earlier, do you recommend the pre-made videos, or should we make them ourselves?
I don't think anything's better than a self-made video. Got to be careful. I've seen some eclectic and interesting self-made videos. I think the professional ones are great, and I think they're important, but I think nothing speaks like a real video. Again, I'm not talking about going out and buying a green screen and investing tens of thousands of dollars in video equipment and production people and expertise, but most ad agencies today have the ability to come out and come on site when they shoot your commercials. Talk with your GM, talk with your owner about shooting some service lane videos and about having a conversation with the customer. Get a couple of testimonials. You know, nothing is more powerful than that, than having it on the website. I saw one recently, in the dealership escapes me at the moment, but there was a gentleman who had an older vehicle. It was an older Chevy. He'd had it for years. Took it to repair shop after repair shop after repair shop, and no one could quite figure out the problem. This particular dealership not only figured out the problem, the man was so happy, he shot the video himself and sent it to the dealership. The dealership posted it. So I think that's a rarity. But I really like the self-made videos and the produced videos. But the stock videos from your video providers out there, and again, there are more and more of them that are doing service-related videos. There's another company, and it escapes me, and maybe I'll have the opportunity. AutoNet TV is the other company. So UnityWorks Media and AutoNet TV do a really great job. AutoNet TV has a lot of the more very specific type videos showing the replacement of a water pump or a brake rotor or things of that nature. And again, I don't know that you want to go quite that in-depth. You may, but those are two great sources for that video content.
Great. You know what? You should let people see what your mugshot looks like. It's on the next slide, if you wouldn't mind, Jeff. And really fast.
Hey, listen, I kept these poor people waiting for 20 minutes for technical difficulty. And all of a sudden,
you don't want them to know what you look like?
I'm going to leave them with the sour note of my ugly mug.
I know. I will say this, Vince, my most recent car purchase is actually a lease. And I won't tell you what kind of car or what the dealership is or anything, but I will say this. The last time daylight savings time came around, they sent me an email with a link to a video that was also posted on their blog, which I thought was really neat because I totally did it. But the reason I clicked on it was because it was a video, it was a 30-second video specifically on how to change the time in my car. And I just thought that was great. I thought that was fabulous. They taught me how to change the time in my own car for daylight savings.
I'm so glad you said that. That reminds me, Vince, those are some of the most viewed and well-liked and well-responded to videos. People don't read the owner's manual. Surprise, surprise. So,
we're too busy, or as you said, lazy. I don't know.
Right. Hey, listen, I don't read the instruction manual to assemble things. Why would I read an owner's manual on a vehicle I purchased? It's things like setting up your Bluetooth and simple things like that that can really be very much appreciated from your consumers. Daylight
how to
saving
tell if
time,
your tires are going bald, you know? That was another
Right.
one that they sent me. I mean, it was really helpful stuff, but it was very timely. They didn't send it at a time when I would have ignored it. They sent it at a time when I actually needed the information. I just didn't know that I was going to need the information. It was great. I thought that just gave them, 5 stars in my head for their customer service, because I definitely put that in. I filed that under customer service. I thought that was fantastic. Okay, one other really super quick question. Dave wrote in, what was the percentage of people that use outside service providers over dealer services? So I don't think we gave a particular percentage per se. You remember the pie chart in the beginning, Jeff? I think it was just...
Correct. That's an interesting question. I would want to do some research. I could speculate on that. I think I could give you, from my southern roots of the made-up word, guesstimate. I don't know. I do know part of the reason that we started this whole program, Dave, was this was actually brought to our attention from one of our dealers. He called here one day and opened up to myself and to our CEO about a lot of the challenges in an incredibly competitive market. And service defection was very big for him. And again, I think a lot of it has to do with the consumer perception that dealerships are difficult and they're expensive. And so we started exploring this. We started doing some research. I previously owned a piece of an accessories company, so I had a pretty good working knowledge of a lot of what was possible on the fixed operations side. And we dug into this thing, and we launched our first beta of this over a year ago. And we're just really blown away with the results that we saw. And what we found is it isn't so much what the dealership does, it's the lack of what we communicate that's available. So I will be happy to dig in and talk with our friends over at NADA in McLean, just right down the road from us, and talk to some of our fixed ops partners and see what the percentage of consumers is that are using or abandoning the dealership and going to the independent repair shops.
It may make you cry, though, Dave. It may make you get some tears in your eyes.
Well, or it may make Dave smile because Dave realizes the potential that's out there.
That's true.
There's so much available. There's so much opportunity. And one of the things that I'm just so excited about is being able to leave you guys today with these 7 action steps. As you can see, this is my email address. These are my phone numbers. I love talking about this stuff. And anything that I can do to help you, advise you, There's a lot of great web companies out there. There's a lot of great technologists and people that can help you through this. If I implore you to do anything, start today to look at that web strategy and start to ask the questions. Start to look. We competitively shop vehicles in our marketplace to see what other Honda Accords or Nissan Maximas or BMW 3 Series are selling for. But we don't always do that with our services, and we don't always see how easy it is for consumers to get to us because we take for granted what it is we know and what we do. I challenge you to be a consumer. Think like a consumer thinks. Have a conversation with someone that doesn't know what you know and ask those key leading questions. This will be a ever-changing evolution. We're watching more and more of this happen. Eliana, thank you for really guiding this today. And again, my most sincere apologies to all of you for the 15-minute or 20-minute delay we had with the technical issue. But I was so thrilled to be a part of this, and I would love nothing more than to be back in the future. And I would love to hear from some of you about your successes and challenges. And myself and my team here are more than happy to do anything we can to support you. And thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Jeff. That was really a fantastic show. And for all of you that are still out there in webinar land with us, when you leave this webinar, we are going to ask you a few survey questions. Your feedback, of course, is always greatly, greatly appreciated. So thank you, Jeff. Fabulous presentation, and we're way past the top of the hour. So any questions that weren't answered during the time allotted will be answered by email directly later today by Jeff himself. I want to remind the audience that a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later today for your reference. Please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And today's webinar is also going to be posted on the Dealeron website within 24 hours. So just go to dealeron.com/webinars to view our upcoming webinar schedule and access some of our past webinars too. And you may not know this, but we have a fantastic blog at Dealeron with all kinds of automotive goodies, from what's happening at Dealeron to the automotive industry in general. So check it out at dealeron.com/blog, and feel free to reach out to us on any one of our social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, you name it. We're everywhere, so look us up and connect with us. And invitations will be going out tomorrow for next week's webinar, Using Car Shopping Data. Oh, how to drastically improve your website. No, that's not it. Using car shopping data to make money with Jason Ezell, president of Datium. Jason gives great webinar, and next week's show is sure to be no exception. Now, next week, he's going to show you how you can drastically improve your website conversion. I just don't think that that's a webinar that any of us should miss. So this will be another can't-miss presentation by your friends at Dealeron. And don't forget, Dealeron's weekly webinars are always held every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And we have some really great webinar subjects planned for this year. But if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, please feel free to contact me directly. Again, my name is Eliana, and I love hearing from you. So track me down online or email me at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and we hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Have yourselves a good one.